The audience, this speech was supposed to take place last Thursday. It's taking place now, but between when it was supposed to happen and now, there's been a muddled message across the board. So that is perhaps why Donald Trump was pushing to at least make this clear, since he's getting heat from all sides to do that. Thank you. Joining me now, Arizona Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego, whose district includes the border with Mexico. Also MSNBC contributor Victoria DeFrancesco Soto, and Republican strategist Rick Wilson. And Katie Tur is back with us. I wanted to start with Katie, because I understand, Katie, you have some new information to report for us.
Oh, first of all, I want to correct myself from a little bit earlier. It wasn't Calderon that said that Donald Trump needs to apologize on his knees, but rather former President Vicente Fox. But I want to put this into a little bit of context for you, Tamron, and our viewers. Donald Trump at this moment is also trying to woo the Hispanic vote. He's trying to find a way to reach across to Latino voters, especially in places like Arizona, where that voting bloc could have tremendous influence over the outcome of how that state votes in November. So part of the reason that they are going to Mexico is to show that he has an ability to work not only with Mexican leaders, but to confront the Mexican people. They want to show that Donald Trump is not somebody who is afraid of confrontation, not somebody who's afraid of speaking his mind, somebody who's able to tell the truth, even in the face of those who disagree with him. Well,
the truth, as we've learned in this campaign, though, Katie, has many interpretations. For example, whether or not the deportation numbers match with what Donald Trump is saying. It goes back to his outreach to the African-American community. Inflating crime numbers is his version of the truth, but the Department of Justice provides the real truth. So I know his supporters see it as a straight shot, but if he goes into Mexico with skewed numbers that can be easily disproven, that does not provide a clear path to making a great impression.
No, it doesn't. And Donald Trump has had an issue with numbers on this campaign trails for the past 14 months, often overstating the size of his crowds, or overstating how many illegal immigrants are in this country, or overstating the joblessness rate in this country. But regardless of that, they believe that this is a power move for them, especially since they are going before Hillary Clinton is.
All right, thank you very much. Let me get back to the panel. Thanks, Katie, for the update. Rick, let me start with you. We've put together, and I'm sure you've seen different versions of this, Donald Trump really in his own words, and how he has addressed the issue of undocumented workers, illegals in this country, whatever language he's chosen to use, including direct words at Mexico's president. Here's just a bit of what he said since announcing his presidency, or his run.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Yeah. Mark my words. Yeah. So I had an idea. I think it's good. Every time Mexico really intelligently sends people over, we charge Mexico $100,000 for every person they send over. Okay, you ready? Who's gonna pay for the wall? Who? 100%, 100%, 10 feet taller. And every time they protest, it's going to go up a little bit higher.
I declare, I'm not going to pay for that wall. He should pay for it. He's got the money. Democracy cannot take us to crazy people that doesn't know what's going on in the world today.
There is no way that Mexico can pay a wall like that.
Donald Trump very well could be the president in January. How do you work with a person? How do you partner with a person that you've previously compared to Hitler and Mussolini?
And whomever is elected here as president, the Mexican government will be working in a very constructive manner with good faith.
All right, Rick, that's a heck of a mashup. But nevertheless, you get the point. How do you see this meeting playing out today?
I see this meeting playing out as being a dumpster fire on top of a giant mountain of burning tires. There is very little condition that Donald Trump comes out of this where he doesn't, first off, lie about what happened in the meeting. He is going to say, the Mexicans agreed to everything I want, they're building the wall, we're building the wall, they're paying for it, and then the Mexicans are going to blow him up. This is a guy he's been very accustomed to existing in this sort of Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh bubble for the last few months where no alternative reality impinges. But this is a real deal with an actual head of state of a foreign power, and he's going to have to go there, and And he can't just lie his way out of it. He can't just say, you know, oh, they've agreed to all my terms. The Mexicans are now, writing a check for me at this very moment to build my magical wall. And the problem is, more broadly, he's trying to, quote unquote, appeal to Hispanic voters. But he's about to give a speech tonight that is pure Stephen Miller. It is going to be the same story that he's told before, where you know, he's talking about Mexicans as you know, practically genetically criminals, and they're rapists and all this other stuff, to appeal to his base. And I don't think he's going to get anywhere with Hispanic voters in this country by continuing to be so divisive, and by having to live up to what his crowds desire versus what it would be smart politically. He's not a guy with any compassion in his soul, so it's gonna fall very flat.
Victoria, let me play a little bit of what his campaign manager Kellyanne Conway said about this decision to go and have this meeting today. Let's play that.
It's a decisive presidential move. He wants to establish a conversation with a neighboring country, a leader, and also to discuss the common problems and challenges that our countries face. I think they'll have a productive conversation today, Savannah, about illegal immigration, but also trade policy and drugs.
How do you have a productive conversation when, again, the words they're sending these rapists, and I think his words were, I imagine some of them are okay. For President Peña Nieto, there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot to represent here. What do you anticipate, or what have you heard of his plan?
Well, to begin with the Mexican people, we know that on the streets they are not happy. They're not happy with Peña Nieto taking the decision to invite Donald Trump. And with Peña Nieto, I have to admit, Tamron, I'm surprised why he did this, because if he thinks that he's going to invite Donald Trump in and get tough on Donald, I don't think that's going to happen, because Donald Trump is ultimately more media savvy, and whatever happens, he's going to spin it in a way that Peña Nieto comes out looking bad. He's going to show up at his Arizona rally today and boast about how he talked tough to the Mexicans and how he told Peña Nieto how it's going to be. So I think Donald Trump wants to use this to cater to his base, but at the same time broadly signaling that he is acting presidential and that he has the guts to confront folks who have previously criticized him.
Well, we should point out the meeting was extended to both Secretary Clinton and Donald Trump. Congressman, let me bring you in right now. When asked which U.S. candidate is better for Mexico, Hillary Clinton gets 77%, Donald Trump 3%. We know she leads by a huge margin in the polling here in this country. In the response from the campaign, essentially it was, yes, he can be there speaking to the people of Mexico, but it matters what the people in Arizona think. They're bringing this all back to home. No matter where he travels, they want to strap Donald Trump with the words he said on this land in this country about people still here.
Absolutely, and if you just look at his rhetoric, even beyond just dealing with Mexicans, as he calls them, which I think he thinks all Latinos are Mexicans, which is another problem. But even when he talks about Mexican Americans, like Judge Curiel, who is a well-renowned jurist, who was basically he accused saying that he could not be a judge, cannot be an impartial judge because of his Mexican heritage. These things we remember, and just because you go have a supposed meeting with Mexico, it's not like somehow Mexican Americans, Latinos are going to suddenly say, well, I'm going to forgive you for all your racist, xenophobic things you've said for the last 5-6 years. And I don't know who he's trying to appeal to, but he's certainly not trying to appeal to the Arizona voter, whether it's the Anglo-moderate voter or the Latino voter.
Going back to the speech tonight, though, this immigration speech, from our early reporting, Katie Turr says that this speech will be a lot about Hillary Clinton. Over the past few days, a number of Trump surrogates have come on this show and said she wants to open the borders. She wants to let a floodgate of people come in. She is not tough on immigration. It seems that the campaign is ready to try to point by point refute what we will hear from Donald Trump tonight.
Well, it's just going to show you that he's just going to take the same tactic that many other Republicans have for the last, 10 years of this campaign rhetoric. I mean, I've been in Arizona since quite a while and remember all the battles over SB 1070 and when they were going to finally fix immigration and nothing ever happened. The only solution to this is comprehensive immigration reform, which really takes care of the security issue as well as dealing with the people that are here, that are undocumented, that have families, that have they're in our communities, and he's just not going to be realistic about it. And if he wants wants to go down the road, the same road that, by the way, Mitt Romney went on a softer scale. He's also going to lose by the large margins because people are ready for solutions. And the only solution that truly deals with our immigration problem is comprehensive immigration reform.
Rick, let me bring you in. Our First Read team has done an excellent job at really breaking down what Donald Trump needs to clarify. We know the strategy is to go after Hillary Clinton, but they put it this way. He's got 4 questions he needs to ask. 1, what is he going to do with the 11 million or so undocumented workers? If they must go, how do you accomplish it? If they must go, how do you pay for it? And is Trump 100% certain on ending birthright citizenship? We've heard a number of answers from that as well. I was thinking this morning, the VMAs were this weekend, and it gave Kanye West 4 minutes, and the world like clutched in fear of what he might say. Republicans, given this meeting in Mexico, not knowing clearly what Donald Trump will say tonight, are those who are, you know, not sure what's going to happen, clutching their pearls, as we say, if Donald Trump comes out of this meeting with Mexico's president, you know, guns blazing, so to speak.
Well, look, again, Donald Trump is caught in this very strange spot. He's got Kellyanne Conway on the one hand telling him, you need to soften, you need to moderate your tone, you need to be able to appeal to not just Hispanic voters, but to the giant mass of white suburban professionals and college-educated voters and women that hate him. On the other hand, he's got Steve Bannon, a guy who would declare war on Mexico tomorrow and have tanks pushing toward Mexico City if he had an option for it. These are people that are pulling Trump in 2 separate directions. And I think what you're going to see is that Trump will get in the moment with his crowd, as he always does, and he will feed the monster. He will go to his ugliest, most divisive rhetoric again. He will get back into that position where he's you know, talking about the wall being 10 feet higher and shipping them all home, and they all have to in back. So it's really contradictory because Trump,
is this more
in the
about
last few weeks, has been all over the board.
Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon than Donald Trump? I mean, in the end, there will be a scripted speech in front of him, and it boils down to whose influence is on that paper. The early reporting is that it's Jeff Sessions' team and Steve Bannon that helped create this speech. If that is the case, you've painted the picture of what you believe that speech would look like.
Right, it's going to be red meat because he plays to the crowd. Trump always, there's an emotional resonance with Trump of getting to that least common denominator of the people in the audience. And, you know, these people are the red hats, brown shirts crowd in a lot of ways. And they're very enthusiastic to hear him be as punitive and as harsh as that he can be. And frankly, he also understands that this is the singular core promise of his campaign from the beginning. From the very beginning, it was, I'm going to throw them out. They're all going to have to go. Families, doesn't matter if we break them up. Birthright citizenship is over. We're sending them all back. We're building the wall. We're making Mexico pay for it. Those are the core promises of his campaign. Those are what brought that particular segment of his most devoted audience to him. And if he abandons that, you know, he's got even greater troubles ahead.
Well, so many of these questions will be answered, but to your point about this meeting with Mexico's president, a couple of different versions could come out with those 2 men. Thank you all for your time. We greatly appreciate it. Coming up, another...